Good morning, everyone. Hello to all of our Wisconsin friends. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Melody G, and I'm with the Incarnate Word Foundation. We're so happy that you could all join us today to learn about the Racine Dominicans Mission Grants Program, and this particular opportunity that is for immigration legal services providers in the state of Wisconsin. My colleague, Kate Flatley, who is the foundation's deputy director, is also here with us. Kate, can I just ask you to say hello briefly so you'll pop to the top of people's screens?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to be launching this program with all of you.
Thanks, Kate. Let me take care of a few housekeeping items before we jump into our agenda today. Our webinar is being recorded for all of our applicants. It will be posted to our website. I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware that we're recording now. The slides from today, as well as the recording and a transcript of this meeting, will also be made available to everyone who's here. I'll show you today where you can find all of those resources, and I'll also follow up with an email directly after this meeting with links to where you can find them. As we talk, there'll be plenty of time for questions at the end, but if questions come up while we're in conversation, I would ask you to just throw them in the chat, and I think I'll lean on Kate to look at the chat and let me know if questions come up. I'm happy to answer them as we go through the meeting. So today, we're going to share with you about this grant opportunity. We'll do an introduction of ourselves and of the congregation who is funding this opportunity. We'll talk about the funding priority, the eligibility criteria, the parameters and restrictions, how the applications will be scored, the timeline and the deadline. We'll give you some instructions on how to apply, and then we'll leave plenty of time for questions at the end. So let me share a little bit about the Sisters of St. Dominic of Racine, who are this grant's funders. They are locally known as the Racine Dominicans. Many of you may already know of them or have worked with them before. I'll share with you some of the things that the congregation has shared with us about themselves. This year, the Racine Dominicans are 164 years old, and they have currently 62 sisters. The average age of their members is 86.7 years old, and the foundation is very excited to be partnering with them to administer this grant program. The sisters are not about amassing wealth. They've shared with us that after they fulfill their canonical priority to care for their members, they take the remaining funds and they have a mechanism for allocating those to different grants. And so this year, one of their funding priorities is immigration legal services. I think a great way to talk about who the congregation is to share with you an excerpt of their constitution. They are, by design, in the structures of their congregation, their policies, and their processes, committed to using their resources, both human and material, to promote the common good and help redress injustice. This grant opportunity, which is one of 3 this year, reflects the Racine Dominicans' commitment to respond to social injustices with voice, action, and resources, and to help sustain the fundamental right of every person to pursue the fullness of life and share in the common good. We at the foundation echo that mission, we share that mission, and we are very proud to be partnering with a congregation that approaches stewardship in this way. I welcome you to learn more about the Racine Dominicans. I invite you to visit their website. This slide and these links will be available to you after the webinar. So a little bit about us at the Incarnate Word Foundation. We're partnering with the Racine Dominicans to administer this program. You can learn about it on our website. And I'm going to turn it over to Kate for a few moments to tell you more about who we are.
Good morning again. Yep, while you all may be familiar with the Racine Dominicans, chances are you probably have not maybe even heard of the Incarnate Word Foundation. So the Incarnate Word Foundation is sponsored by the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word in San Antonio, although the foundation is actually located in St. Louis, Missouri. The Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word have ministries throughout the world, including Missouri, Texas, Mexico, Chile, Colombia, Peru, and we are one of those ministries. We were started after the sisters sold a hospital here in St. Louis. They wanted to ensure that their mission, similar to what the Racine Dominicans are doing with this program, that their mission to spread, to be the heart of Jesus in um, in the footprint where the hospital was sustained. So we have been doing grant administration and grant funding like this for close to 30 years, because that was in 1997. Through that, we have, and our relationships with sisters nationwide, we realized that there was an interest in other congregations to do similar work, and that we had the tools to help them do that. So that is how our New Treasures program kind of came about. We were introduced to the Racine Dominicans through a conference, and we have been working with them for over a year now to get this program launched and ready. So we can't tell you how excited we are to be able to assist with the administration of this program. If anyone has any other questions about the Incarnate Word Foundation, please feel free to ask now or later in the program. But again, we're just so grateful to be here.
Thanks, Kate. All right, let's jump into some information about the grant. This grant's funding priority is that it seeks to fund organizations that provide free and or reduced legal services to immigrants in the state of Wisconsin. We are casting a wide net for this. I know there will be services that we've missed on our list. Please know that our list here is not exhaustive, and that if your organization provides a service that is not listed here, that should not be a barrier to your application, nor is it going to be a penalty on your score at all. So we're inviting service providers, folks who provide services with attorneys or other appropriately trained persons that may include but are not limited to legal support, legal assistance, education, advice, and or representation for individuals and families. And we have a couple more items on this list. That can include folks who are seeking status adjustments or renewals, sponsoring family members for immigration, seeking Violence Against Women Act self-petitions, applying for work authorizations, seeking representation either in immigration court or before the Board of Immigration Appeals, facing deportation or removal, seeking reunification with deported family members, or seeking release from detention. That's just to get started. Please know that you can apply if you provide other services as well. Some of the funding criteria are the following. To be eligible to apply for this grant, your organization must be a 501c3 in good standing, or you may have a fiscal sponsor with that designation. You must provide immigration legal services within the state of Wisconsin. If you do it elsewhere, in addition, that's fine, but we're looking for services that are provided in Wisconsin. You must have an annual budget of no less than $100,000 and no greater than $3 million. We ask that you fall within that range. You must also be able to provide a letter of support from a third-party organization that can endorse your work, your impact, and your viability. When we do grant making here in St. Louis, one of our practices is to do site visits with folks who are invited to apply. We're unable to do that this year because of the distance. And so that might change in subsequent years. But so we're asking for you to give us a letter of support from someone who can speak about your work. Some of the funding parameters that we'll share with you. You may request between $25,000 and $50,000 for this award. There will be a total of $150,000 in awards for this grant. Awards may be used for general operating and or project expenses. So this means that you do not have to have a special project in order to apply for this grant. You do not need to create a new project in order to apply for this grant. You'll see in the application that we're going to ask you to share all about your mission, your core services and programs, the populations that you serve, how you partner with others in the community. And we're very excited to support the work that you are already doing and doing well. The grant time is between July 2026 and July 2027. Awards will be made in late June of this year. And so the grant timeline is for 1 year, between July of this year and July of next year. We ask that awardees will participate in a virtual mid-year check-in with us, and we'll share the other reporting requirements that we'll have with you as well. So sometime around January of 2027, we'll ask for a virtual check-in, and then we'll do some other reporting with you as well. A couple of other parameters that we have. Affiliation with the Catholic Church or any religious organization is not a requirement to apply. We welcome applications from secular and faith-based organizations as long as you align with the funding priorities and meet all of the eligibility requirements. We welcome your applications. We also won't know for a little while whether funding will be renewed for this program, and so we're just going to say at this moment that awards are not guaranteed for subsequent years. We do have a couple of funding restrictions. Grants will not be awarded for any of the following purposes: capital campaigns or capital improvements, endowments, scholarships or tuition assistance, salaries for newly created positions. If you want to take the award and engage new contractors or consultants to help you with the project or help you with some of your core programs, that's totally fine. But salaries for any newly created full-time or part-time positions are ineligible for use with this grant funding. Funds will not be awarded for any partisan political efforts and any activities that do not comply with Catholic social teaching. Let me take a minute and talk about this last point for a second. Catholic social teachings do not encompass the entirety of the Church's doctrines. We have included here a link to a website. This is to the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops website that gives an overview of the 7 themes of Catholic social teaching. And the website also states Catholic social teaching is built upon a commitment to the poor. So there are 7 themes here. They include things like life and the dignity of the human person, protecting human rights and ensuring human responsibilities, putting the needs of the poor and the vulnerable first, caring for God's creation, the people, and the planet. So to be clear, your organization does not have to hit all of these social teachings. That's not the point of this funding restriction at all. The point here is to say that any funds that are awarded may not be used for any purposes that contravene these Catholic social teachings. So that's the funding restriction there. It's not saying you have to hit these, you just can't use your funds in ways that contravene these. I'll pause here. We've gone through a couple of things. If there are any questions, please let me know. And for this grant, mission partners of the Racine Dominicans and for-profit organizations are ineligible to apply. I'll go over some of our scoring categories. Applications will be reviewed on the following categories: your mission alignment with the mission of the Racine Dominicans, the alignment between your mission and the communities that you serve, the strength and impact of your programs and or your projects, your community engagement, how you collaborate and work with your community. That could include the populations that you serve with other partners in your space, your overall potential to fulfill your organization's mission and goals, your financial viability, and your implementation of best practices for serving immigrant populations. So we will have a review committee scoring all the applications based on these categories. For the last one, I'll say that we will ask you in the application to tell us about some of your best practices. These can include a lot of different things. They can include, for example, language access services that you provide, policies and trainings that you have in place to report abuse, ways that you safeguard children and vulnerable populations that you work with. If you have cultural and religious competency training, if you have trauma-informed approaches and the ways that you train your staff and volunteers. So those would be things, those would be examples of items that we would look at in best practices for serving immigrant populations. Okay, the important timeline. Your applications will be due on May 22nd before midnight. So that's the last day you can submit your application. Award announcements will be made in late June. Our application is online. This is a screenshot of our grant portal where you can create a new account or log in if you already have an account on this portal. In the email that you'll receive from us after the webinar, you'll get a link to this page. You do not have to complete the application all at once. You can save your progress in the platform and return to it before you submit. So let me share with you some resources that we have. You can find at the Incarnate Word Foundation website some resources for this grant. I'm going to hop over there right now and just show it to you really quickly. This is the homepage of our website for the foundation. You're going to navigate to our menu over to our New Treasures program, and you're going to go down to the Racine Dominicans Mission Grants program. This page has everything about the grant program and the 3 different grants that they're holding this year. Ours is here, Immigration Legal Services in Wisconsin. This page has all of the information from the webinar, the funding priority, the eligibility criteria, everything that we just went over together. It has your timeline. And then near the bottom, it has a series of resources for you. We're going to post the video of this webinar here. We'll also post the transcript here. You can already download the slides as a PDF if you want to review those. You can get help with the set of instructions for creating a new account in the grant portal and for finding this particular grant to apply for. You can also preview the entire application before you start it in the portal. If you click here, you'll find a PDF of the entire application. The introductory information is here, and then you'll see all of the questions. You'll see which ones are starred, that are required, and which ones are not, that are optional. Sometimes we think it's helpful for you to be able to see the full scope of the application and know what's going to be asked of you before you start. So we hope that's helpful for you as well. We also have our email address down here. We welcome your questions anytime. If you have concerns, if you need help with anything, if you just want to chat with us, we'd be happy to talk with you too. And then at the bottom of this page is the direct link that you can click and you can go straight to the application portal and apply. So we'll have this for you. We'll have all of these links for you in the email that we're going to send out after this. One other quick thing, because this actually, no. That's it, I think.
Melody, can I add just?
Sure, yes, please, Kate.
If you have never used the Foundant application portal, that's the system we use. You are able to save your draft and come back to it. So there's no pressure, to sit down and have to fill out the whole grant application at once. You are able to save and come back to the grant application.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Kate.
And Melody, if we are ready for questions, I do have a question for you.
Actually, yeah, we're definitely ready for questions. I'm going to jump over to the question slide.
So April asked, she said salaries for new positions are ineligible, but is it permissible to increase the number of hours or work for existing positions?
I'm going to say yes. I will double check that with the
I,
congregation. Go ahead.
I would say yes. I think the reason that we encourage the sisters to include that parameter is because it's best practice if you are not providing multi-year funding to not tie a salary to that funding. We just don't want anyone to hire someone and then the next year have to let them go. That's why we say consultants are okay because they're typically used to that kind of work, or you're hired for a set contract. But we just don't want to um, have that kind of pressure, for the organization, or not be able to fund that position in future years.
Thank you, Kate. That's really helpful. I appreciate that answer.
Okay, because I realize this probably it might only apply to our organization. So we're Catholic Charities of Madison, and so we're a very big organization, and so we only have one, tax ID number. However, where it gets complicated and what I was just clarifying is we have like 16 different organizations underneath our umbrella. So, for example, for this specific one, we operate the Catholic Multicultural Center, which is its own building. It serves its own group of clientele. We have our own immigration legal services program underneath that window or underneath that umbrella. So my question was, would we be able to apply for funding because the budget specifically for the CMC fits into it? But then when you add everything else we do, so like for example, we operate a homeless shelter and the budget for that is $3 million. So if you look
Mhm.
at all of like if you would look at our 990, we bring in a lot more than that, but we do have individual budgets specifically for each organization underneath our wing. So I guess that's my question. Would we be able to apply, or would that kind of disqualify us from applying?
Kate, I'm going to bounce that too. It sounds
Yes,
very similar to the way St. Louis Catholic
that's what
Charities is structured.
I was
Mhm.
going to say, Ashley, we have the same situation here.
Okay.
And so, with every good set of parameters or rules, there are
Yeah.
always exceptions to that. So I would say explain that in the application if you
Okay.
can. But
Okay.
yes, I would submit the budget specifically for the Multicultural Center.
Okay.
Um, and since that is your immigrant serving agency, it sounds like,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
base, the programs and everything off of that. But we do understand
Okay.
that a
Perfect.
structure like that would exist.
Amazing. And thank you guys for, I knew that was quite a lengthy question that I sent you. So thank
No,
you.
no, there. Oh, and then do you have another question?
Sure.
From if we have questions in the future, can we email? Please, please, please. We are here to be a resource to you. So if things come up, even if it's things like I can't get the number of characters in this question, is glitching for some reason in the application. Anything from technical to broader, please reach out to info or directly to Melody or myself, and we are happy to answer any questions that may come up.
For sure. Well, if they come up, please feel free to send them. We'll be happy to talk to you one-on-one. We'll have a call, we can have a video chat or answer your questions via email. Thank you so much again. We look forward to learning more about your work and to hearing from you. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks so much for being here.